Sometimes you see a movie that simply is a missed opportunity to make a good movie, and such is the case with this movie from 2008 called Transsiberian, which kind of feels like a scuffed version of The Commuter with Liam Neeson 10 years after this movie, because it really does not grip you from start to finish, and it feels kind of slow to begin with, and it also feels kind of dragged. So it is about this American couple on the Transsiberian Railway that you might have heard about, and they stumble upon a suspicious-looking couple, Carlos and Abby, which they still form a friendship with. You do get a certain amount of time to see their intentions in the movie, especially Carlos, who wants someone to transport heroin for him and tries to fuck Jesse, who is almost in on it. But I do feel the start is very slow because the apparent murder when Jesse kills Carlos almost in a crime of passion, or because he tries to fuck her and she is not sure she is in on it, whatever it may be, he ends up buried in the snow after a kind of heated interaction. But that happens about 40 minutes into the movie. Before that, it is general shit shots. Carlos shows Jesse the dolls with heroin in them and gets in the shower so he can exchange the bags. So, of course, things happen before that, but mostly the movie is really about the murder and how Jesse deals with it as a character. So, yes, we do get a good act from Emily Mortimer here, who deals with the fact and agony of having killed someone and shows all those kind of emotions and reactions you are having when you have done a bad thing and try to hide it by almost throwing up, acting all scared and jittery. That is a very good act, but how the movie is done is not exactly a class way to do it, because in that second part, after the murder is committed and some make-believe detectives try to investigate her, we just roll mostly with flashbacks about her trip when she kills Carlos to tell part of the story. Particularly, that's something I don't like in thriller movies. You did that in Blacklight, you did it in Killers of the Flower Moon, even when you just drag and drag the scenes you have already seen about 3 or 4 times without telling anything new. Okay, yes, I guess they try to tell what's in their mind and what the main character thinks, but going back to the same scenes from the murder that many times seems to be excessive and does something with the entertainment. It just gets whacked. Yes, the ending is kinda decent when they go all John Wayne in the movie and they hijack the train after getting away from the interrogation, but basically that could also happen earlier in the movie. But then again, this movie focuses mostly on Jessie and her emotions. Perhaps they hold the cover on the mystery to a certain extent, because it turns out, although Jesse killed Carlos, he was really a bad guy anyway, previously having done a lot of theft and sexual assaults, and the guys chasing Jesse and her husband were also part of the drug gang, waiting to get their money from a heroin deal. Woody also does quite well, as this man who stands by his wife to the letter, but you do miss him in this movie when he goes away having missed the train, but his arc is really not that important. Mostly, of course, this movie is too slow, and I'm not to say, boom, you should have a murder after 10 minutes and a train crash scenes in the beginning, but this movie could have been so much better if it was speeded up a little. Generally, also if Carlos had been alive longer, but then I guess you had to cut out the two Russian bad guys, because then it could rather be a story where Carlos tried to force Jesse to love him or something like that, but trying to convince her to transport his heroin, or that him and Jesse was missing instead, and Roy had to try to find them. But then it may just have been a classic missing person movie, which perhaps would not be that good either. But I feel those Russian bad guys could have come in a little earlier, as well as the murder could have happened after 20 minutes, and you had cut out little of the empty shit chat in the beginning. Then this movie would have never been a missed opportunity of a good movie, because although it tries perhaps to be some sort of murder mystery, it probably has those elements. You could perhaps involve the other characters a bit more, because this story is mostly about Emily Mortimer, and although she plays her part solid in doing the story in a less character-driven way, you would not need all the flashbacks and never entertain you in the middle part. This movie has the running time close to 2 hours, but you feel that a lot of times, especially in the beginning and in the middle, there that this movie could have had a smoother cut where you perhaps also had more thriller elements, which I think this movie would be better at doing. But yes, they tried to create some sort of character-driven murder mystery-style movie. But it would be better if it all had turned out to be a thriller movie, where perhaps this American couple was chased a lot more by the Russians, or Carlos was kept alive longer, or had taken Jesse hostage. But that's just some wild ideas I will throw out there, which I think would have taken the movie up to a 7 or maybe even an 8 out of 10. But for me, this is just a 5 out of 10, despite the solid role for Emily Mortimer, as the movie itself is not that good as a whole to entertain me in the right way.